part 3 of my metal journey here. Here's Ophelia from the current game, sort of current game, Brutal Legend. I have it on my Xbox 360. It's a damn fun game, but I still haven't beaten it yet. I'm not very good at those war strategy type games. I can't organize that many people at the same time. But yeah, so I think the last we left off with Pantera. But then for a while I didn't really listen to like other bands because again I was just stuck with Pantera and White Zombie, and I didn't really like any other metal voices at the time, and I didn't really care about how the music sounded. I just liked the heaviness. But I did eventually. We watched the program Loud, like I described before. It was an hour-long metal show on the old Much Music, and it was all metal, not just this whiny type of crap metal that isn't even metal these days. And I saw a video from Down. Like I saw Phil, I recognized Phil. I'm like, hey, what's he doing in not Pantera? And it was in his side project Down, and was singing Stone the Crow. And I liked it. I thought it had a good sort of bluesy feel, but it was like a good, solid, heavy, but old school, you know, pretty good, a good sound. And eventually I sought out one of the discs, CDs. Got the first one I bought was Down 2. I tend to sometimes get them out of order. Not, you buy what you think looks good. I don't think NOLA was even in the store at the time. But yeah, Down 2. I really enjoyed this album. Like it had a lot of really good songs on it. Like you could tell that Pantera was getting stagnant, and Phil, I guess, was feeling that. But he created some really awesome stuff. Contributed with some really awesome stuff here in Down. And these guys are solid musicians. Very good album if you haven't heard it before. And that opened me to like sort of thinking about there are other styles of metal that I can't appreciate. There are other stuff I got into before and during the time of Down, but I'm just going to go down the path of Phil Anselmo right now, pretty much. The bands that I like of his, anyway. I tried getting into Damage Plan, but that was also back when I couldn't tolerate as many metal voices. I'll get into that later on, but yeah, earlier I just could not tolerate a lot of the metal screams. I only liked Phil and I didn't like anybody else, but that eventually, I evolved from that. But yeah, so here's I ended up getting another one, Down, like NOLA. It's also an awesome album. Sounds a little more repetitive, but a lot of the music is a bit more inventive than Down 2. I got Over the Under, and I wasn't very impressed with it. It kind of felt like they weren't really trying. I don't know. But then there was, I had always had this weird dream that I would see a Pantera show, but there would be a lot of red, and Phil would be singing some new songs. There would be a new album that's red and black. But then I went to the store and saw Superjoint Ritual, which is red and black, sort of. And I didn't even know this was, like, Phil was singing in this. This is more of a Slayer type metal. Where from Pantera, it was sort of the middle ground. Down sort of took it down, but Superjoint Ritual sort of powered it up. And, they went progressive and just crazy. I always wondered how did they remember which parts go in which songs, because there's so many different random sounding parts in each song. This is Superjoint Ritual is what got me, I guess, into more of the progressive rock. Because during those tape days, I actually when I had the Pantera album, I had Slayer as well. I bought Rain and Blood, and that became one of my favorite albums too. I didn't like the singing as much as Pantera because it was higher pitched, but it was low enough pitched that it wasn't annoying, because I didn't like the high pitch, and yeah, and I loved the fast style of Slayer though, and that's what I thought Superjoint Ritual was going for. And Phil does give a nod to Slayer in one of his songs on Reinventing the Steel. In the I guess the Revolution Is My Name, or no, one of the songs. Your trust is in whiskey and weed and Slayer. It's goddamn electric. Yeah, that song. I loved that song too. And the Death Rattle Shakes. That was a good song. But yeah, getting back to Superjoint, this album like was awesome. I thought this was like one of the greatest things I'd heard in a long time. It was a very different, very sort of an updated Slayer, but with Phil Anselmo singing, my favorite metal singer at the time. He did do a lot of the high-pitched in that too, which I didn't like, but overall the music was just so crazy and awesome that I just loved it. But then this came out. Some of the songs, again, are okay, but most of them aren't really passable. It sounds like Phil wasn't trying for most of them. Like his heart, it does in this album. If you listen to it, it doesn't sound like his heart is into it. His heart was into more songs on this album. You could tell that he was invested in these songs. Like it was, I guess it was the new project. He wasn't bored of it yet. I guess he's a little fickle that way. I guess, but in this one, he's just sort of shouting the words, not putting any feeling into them, putting any emotional spin onto the words like he used to, like he would back in Cowboys from Hell or Vulgar Display of Power or even Far Beyond Driven, and even a couple of times in Trendkill. They tried to go back to musical in Reinventing the Steel, but I'm back on Pantera again. But yeah, so Superjoint Ritual, he just does not have his heart in this album. And that's also what I felt with Over the Under from Down. They just didn't really provide the musical satisfaction that I crave from music. Like, I'll get onto it later on too, but like bands like Tool and Mudvayne and all that type of thing, they just don't speak to me. They don't musically make my heart feel anything. But these other bands, like Pantera, has been able to do that. I've got a lot of other bands that I'm going to be talking about. There's Fear Factory, Machine Head, fucking Machine Head, Atheist, Baroness, Burst, Vader, Opeth, Daft, Devil Driver, Unearth, Necrophagist. Brilliant fucking bands. I'm going to be getting into them later on. But yeah. So that I just thought I'd take a side to address Down and Superjoint Ritual since I addressed Pantera, and then I'll be going back on my path, because next coming up is I was listening to more loud. Fear Factory and Machine Head I'll be talking about coming up.